The year is 33 AD. Banks are failing in ancient Rome and real estate prices are crashing. Panic ensues. Good heavens, say the senators, probably. So, how did this all exactly happen? A credit crunch or a run on the bank are more often than not relatively recent events from the modern era. But contrary to what you might think, these phenomena have actually existed for thousands of years. Today, my dear viewers, we will be winding back the clock to 33 AD, to the reign of Emperor Tiberius. Our story starts 80 years earlier when Caesar was still knocking about. He had passed a law whereby moneylenders, for each loan they made, needed a sufficient quantity of Italian farmland. This is somewhat like the reserve requirements imposed on banks today, albeit less liquid and for moral reasons instead of stability. However, Roman pastimes include fighting wars and day drinking at the Colosseum, so as time went on, this law was slowly forgotten about. Until one fateful day in 33 AD. As the historian Tacitus describes it, a law long since neglected, private profit taking precedence over public good. On this occasion, Gracchus brought it before the Senate. Oh fuck, said the senators. Yeah, okay, I added that last bit myself. Senators often lent money, so they are effectively our financial institutions for this story. Tacitus goes on to write that all of the senators were guilty of breaking this law. This is likely exaggerated, however. But enough of them were guilty to the point that they went to Emperor Tiberius and he gave them a year and a half to sort out their finances. So, what options did that leave moneylenders? Yep, you guessed it. Moneylenders sold off real estate en masse, causing their prices to crash. I'm not joking when I say that there was a real estate bubble in the same year Jesus Christ is said to have been crucified. In order to help alleviate the crisis, lenders were ordered to purchase an increased proportion of farmland to help offset the collapsing value. However, this only exacerbated the problem, because in order to buy more land, the lenders had to call in more loans. By calling in more loans, borrowers had to sell more land in order to not default. As lenders started to go bankrupt, a credit crunch effectively ensued, which caused Roman interest rates to spike. As prices fell, Romans who still had cash holdings decided to delay purchases, providing a catalyst to the deflationary spiral. This was quite the pickle the Romans found themselves in, but Emperor Tiberius intervened, injecting 100 million sesterces into the economy through interest-free loans. Clearly, he was a big fan of John Maynard Keynes. This crisis, like what you've probably just done yourself, has been compared to much more recent crises, most notably the 2008 global financial crisis. After all, the Roman equivalent of the central bank pumped loads of money into the financial system, and interest rates were cut to zero, which would be a similar response 2,000 years later. However, it is very easy to analyze an ancient society through a modern lens, and ultimately, I believe that any comparisons from Tiberius's crisis to 2008 fall short. You have to remember that this crisis occurred long before economics was a school of thought. Ancient economies, especially in the Roman times, were embedded within the society and its practices, as well as its class structure and power dynamics. People back then never considered economics separate from status and the display of power. After all, the moneylenders in this story act as a ruling class. As Tacitus writes, it was not respectable to fail their pledge. And it is because of this I conclude that this crisis was less so a financial crisis and more a crisis to the status and respectability of the ruling elite. And that's where this story ends. I thank you for watching this video. Cheerio.